Hey guys, it's Vass here from Aussie RC Playground, and this is my review of the Traxxas Slash 4x4 Ultimate Edition. This is a 1/10 scale 4-wheel drive short course truck available from Traxxas, and it has the new low center of gravity chassis, which hangs a full 26mm lower than its predecessor. Along with that, you also get the big bore GTR shocks and the S1 Racing compound tyres. The rest of the stuff is all pretty standard gear as from the previous Traxxas models, including the 3500 kV Valenion motor, the waterproof ESC, waterproof receiver box and waterproof steering servo. To be able to control the car, they give us this very fancy TQI remote, which allows you to plug in an iDevice and give you real live telemetry as you're using the truck. Now, a couple of other things that they give you are a charger. It's a pretty cheap charger, but it does allow you to charge on 3S and 2S, except it is going to take you a little while to charge up your battery, so just keep that in mind. And they also give you a 2-cell 5000 milliamp LiPo battery, which is actually a pretty good battery from Traxxas, but it is a little bit longer than your standard 2S packs, so you might have a little bit of trouble putting this guy in some of your other RCs. But overall, it's actually a pretty good battery. So, we're about to start our review for the Traxxas Slash, but before we get into it, I just want to point out a couple of very quick things. Number one, all the relative videos for this car, for the truck, are actually in the description. So if you want to go check out some of the other videos after this review, feel free to go and check them out. I've posted all the links up on the description for you. I always get asked about where I bought the car from, how much was it, all this type of stuff. This guy came from Tower Hobbies, and they've got them there for $640. Alright, then you got to add your postage, discount codes, yada yada. So your final figure will obviously be different to mine depending on where you are in the world, value of the dollar, all that type of stuff. I'm also going to point out that this is my very first Traxxas Slash, so if there's any questions at the end of this relating to its previous models, I'm probably not going to be the best guy to ask those questions. I'm only going to be judging the truck for what it is. Alright, so just keep that in mind. And finally, I'm going to apologise in advance if this review goes over time a little bit. I do have a lot of things to cover off, but I'm going to try and be as quick as I can, so please stick around. So I'm not going to waste any more of your time. Let's get stuck straight into it. Now we're going to start off with the manuals, and I know that you guys are probably going to be rolling your eyes at me, but don't go away. I'm going to point out something, or a couple of things really, that I think are relative to this truck. Obviously it's manuals, and I think might actually be quite kind of important. Now, Traxxas have actually got an A+ for advertising. They do an extremely good job with the brochures and all this type of stuff that they give you. There's a great big magazine in here showcasing all their products, nitro and electric, all the little features, all the upgrades, very well illustrated. Good little magazine, some bedtime reading for you there if you guys want to have a look through that. They also give you a bit of a manual on the Traxxas link, so this will go through some of the menus and give you a bit of a guide on how to use it. Don't worry about this double-sided sheet. I think it's written in Italian or Spanish or something. Can't quite decipher the language, but anyway. And they give you a quick start guide. Now this is really for newbies, to be honest. There's a lot of warnings in here. It really goes through about you know, how to charge your battery, how to plug it in, how to put it into the truck, all this type of stuff. You know, where to turn it on. Very basic stuff. Most people will be familiar with that, but for those of you who are new, that all of this stuff will actually come in very handy. And then they give us this. This is a black and white little booklet, and most of this is regarding warranties. So you know, your dealer's rights, limitations of liability, all this really boring legal stuff. And I can understand why Traxxas have done this. They've covered themselves really well. There's also warranty forms at the back for you to fill out. All of these are in multiple languages. But the one thing I couldn't find amongst all of this was a proper manual to work on the truck. So really baffled with it. And what I mean by this is I've got a manual here for the Buggy 8, which is the little guy that, well, the 1/8 scale buggy that you see behind me. And in here they actually go through, and I'm hoping that you guys can see that with the light. There's enough contrast there for you to see. But with this, they actually go through all the little, you know, how to assemble your shocks, how to, you know, put the dog bones in, assemble the A-arms, put the shock towers in, all of this type of stuff. And then they've got, you know, model numbers for everything, which is very cool. Traxxas don't actually give you one of these, which is really surprising to me. What they do give you or as close to that as I could find, are blown up pictures of the truck. Now I'm really hoping, because the print isn't very good here, but I'm hoping that you guys can make out what that is. Yeah, it's just basically blown up picture of the truck. There's various different sections. Every part on here has got a part number, so if you need to replace a part, go to your reference sheet, look up the part number, and then you can order your part. But there's nothing here showing me how to assemble everything, so that's really weird. I'm actually I've never come across an RC that doesn't have something like that, so pretty strange. Now, amongst all the little bag of goodies that you get when you buy one of these, they give you a center diff. The most amazing thing about all of lack of information that I found on the manuals is that there's no instructions showing me how to install the center diff. So I don't know if I need to buy additional parts, I don't know if I need to modify any existing parts. There's nothing telling me how to install this center diff. Now, for those of you who are veterans of the Traxxas Slash, you're probably all laughing at me, and that's fine. I'm sure that it's probably a very easy way to do it and very simple solution, but for somebody like me who hasn't owned one of these, regardless of the experience that I've got with RCs, there's nothing here giving me any information about it. So if I can't figure it out, imagine what a newcomer is going to have trouble with. So that's a little bit disappointing from Traxxas, I think. Anywho, let's move on to the remote. We're going to move this guy out of the way just very quickly. Now, I'm not going to be too thorough about the remote. I'm just going to give you my thoughts on it, because honestly, you sort of need an entire other video to review this guy. My overall thoughts on the remote are simply this. It's a little bit big. Without the Traxxas link, it's as plain Jane as anything. There's bugger all that you can do with this thing. So you really need to have the Traxxas link in there. It feels really cheap. It's a very cheap plastic. It doesn't feel like a quality unit. The steering wheel is a little bit small for me. I prefer them a tad bigger. But overall, you know, that the grip is quite nice. The throttle trigger feels really good, and you know, you can get used to the smaller wheel. You eventually work it out. Runs on 4AA, so it's all good. The Traxxas link is actually a very good feature, but it does pretty much everything that a proper quality remote will do. It'll allow you to set different modes for your truck or RC, because the link does work with a variety of different Traxxas vehicles. You can program throttle response, brake response, sensitivities, all of these types of things. Very, very cool. Takes a little while to get used to the menus, find out where everything is, but not a big deal. I mean, it took me, you know, only a few minutes to figure out where I needed to go to adjust my settings. The only thing that this does on top of some of the other remotes is that it gives you motor temperature, gives you battery voltage, and it gives you speed readings. Motor temperature and battery voltage are actually pretty accurate. Speed readings, however, are way off. So if you are judging your speed on your RC by the Traxxas link, chances are it's going to be out. I did speed tests with this truck with the link on, and I found that it was always 5 to 10 k's out from the speed gun. The speed gun gave me much more consistent readings. Now the theory is, or not the theory, but the fact of the matter is that the sensor that measures the speed is actually connected to the clutch. So I suppose you could tighten the clutch and maybe have a more accurate reading, but I didn't really adjust the clutch, and I think that the clutch was spinning a little bit more than what the truck was actually going, and that's why I was getting the higher speed readings. It's just a theory. If anyone's tested that out and come up with a more accurate reading, then by all means, you know, let us know about it. But it's just a theory that I have, that you know, if you tighten your clutch, I think the problem may lessen. The only other complaint I have about the remote is, why didn't they make this a wireless setup with the Traxxas link? Because to me, you don't have to have the Traxxas link connected to the remote. You don't look at it when you're using the truck. You're looking at the truck, not at the actual remote. So it doesn't make sense to have it plugged in. Also, you know, if Traxxas want to widen their customer base and you know, use the Traxxas link system without having the barrier of the devices, then, you know, make it Wi-Fi, make it Bluetooth, and pretty much anyone that has a phone, and let's face it, a lot of people do, you'll be able to download the app and use it with any phone, any device, anything that uses a Wi-Fi or Bluetooth system. On top of that, I would probably prefer that if someone was standing next to me feeding me the live information as I'm racing around the track or something like that. So as every lap goes by, they can tell me, okay, you know, your top speed on that lap was X Ks. You know, your speed around that corner is getting a little bit better, or maybe, you know, your temperature's going up too high, maybe your gearing's too much. I don't know. All of this information can be fed back to you as you're actually driving, rather than finish what you're doing and then look up your data. So I think for the next generation they should really make this Wi-Fi and not have it plugged into the remote, because it does add a little bit of weight to it. And let's face it, for those of us who don't have iPhones or iPods, to go out and buy something like this and then have to pay more money to get yourself an iDevice to plug in here, you know, it's just an added expense that really isn't necessary. So I think Traxxas need to wake up and smell the coffee and stop using iPhones only for this. They should really go Wi-Fi or Bluetooth. Just a suggestion. Overall, the remote did its job. It did everything that it needed to do. But as I said, without the Traxxas link, this thing's just plain Jane as a $20 remote. Alright, so moving on to the truck. Now I can tell you that when it comes to the truck, holy moly, Traxxas have done a fantastic job. Now, as you can see, the body that's on here at the moment is spotless. This is the brand new body that came with the truck. I didn't use this body. I actually used this body. It's exactly the same, except it came clear. I painted it up myself. So, you know, I didn't get an aftermarket body to judge the truck. So with the body, I've heard that you know, some people complain about it. They say that it's not that good. I'm going to disagree. I think that the body has actually been reasonably good. I think given the punishment that I've put the truck through, the body has stood up and represented Traxxas quite well. So I'm quite impressed with it, to be honest with you. The only serious damage I've got on the body, there's a little crack just down the back here, which is slowly growing into about an inch long. Actually, it's not that side; it's this side. So it's starting to get a little bit big as I use it, and I can reinforce that and stop that from getting any worse. So that's easy. But other than, you know, some severe scratches and a few dents, I really can't complain about this body given the punishment I've put it through. So I'm actually quite impressed, and I think you might be as well. The only thing that I really can complain about is that the body actually curves, as you can see there. It hugs the chassis quite well. So what tends to happen is the edges here tend to rub on the nerf bars that come out of the chassis, and I've got a couple of little bolt spots because of that. So my advice to you, if you're going to use the original body, maybe put a little bit of tape in there just to stop the rubbing and stop paint from falling out on you. But you know, other than that, I'm actually impressed with how it's been holding up. I've certainly had worse bodies than this, so I think it's all relative, and I'm actually happy with it. Alright, so for the truck itself, there it is, guys, the low center of gravity Traxxas Slash. I can tell you straight out that I'm very impressed with this truck. This is without a doubt the best RC that I've got in my collection so far. It's also the most expensive RC, but it is the best one that I've got. That's full stop. We're going to start with the tyres. The tyres that Traxxas have provided us with this truck are phenomenal. They are fantastic. This is the S1 Racing Compound tyre, and I can tell you that they've been extremely durable, and they've given me grip across all 4 terrains that I've tested it on, which include tarmac, grass, gravel and dirt. I've had no problems with grip. Very impressed with these tyres, and I'm pretty sure you guys will be too if you get your hands on one of these trucks. The shocks are absolutely fantastic. Again, they've given us, you know, some big bore shocks here. These are GTR shocks. The only thing I really had to do to get the truck up and running was just adjust my spring rate. However, the way that they are set up at the moment, the last time I ran the truck was doing the high-speed runs with the big pinion gear in here, and I've compressed the shocks, I've opened them right up, and I had to stiffen the truck because stock standard you can run it without any issues, but once you put the high-speed pinion gear in here, the truck really becomes very unstable at those high speeds, and I had to lower it. I had to change the suspension for the truck to be able to handle it. Otherwise it was just getting the speed wobbles, you know, the front end was raising, air was getting into the body, it just wasn't working out at really high speeds. So you might want to maybe do a little bit of tuning on the suspension if you're going to be doing some speed runs. Drive shafts, I've had no issues. Excuse me, I had no issues with the drive shafts at all. I have heard that these tend to pop out or break or fail in some way. I can't really complain. Nothing's happened to them. Perhaps this is more of a long-term thing. Maybe after I don't know, a few months of use or a few hours of use. I don't know, but it might be something that might happen to me down the line. At the moment, I've ran the truck probably about 10 to 12 packs from memory, and I've had no issues with the drive shafts at all. You've got also aluminium caster blocks and wheel hubs at the front. You've got C hubs at the back as well, all in aluminium. And I can tell you that if you have a bit of a bad accident with this, chances are that the truck's, your corners are going to survive. You should be okay. Front and rear bumpers, again, no breakages, other than just your standard scratches and scuffs and so forth. Nothing's broken on them. Shock towers haven't given way on me at all. They're actually really strong, quite stiff. One of the things that really surprised me was the body posts on this thing, and I'm going to try and show you what I mean. You can see how flexible they are there. I can almost bend this down. I can probably bend them down about 45 degrees from where they are at the moment. So very, very durable body posts. The only thing I'm not a fan of is that they are not adjustable. So I don't know how you guys are going to go if you buy aftermarket bodies. I don't know how you're going to be able to adjust it. And I don't know for sure if there's already some upgrades for these to be able to make them adjustable. Chances are there are already, but yeah, that's the only thing that disappointed me, was that the body posts are non-adjustable. But given that I was using the stock Traxxas body, I really had no need for them to be adjustable. So, but yeah, held up very, very well. I actually had a really bad accident with this when I was filming the truck for the GoPro music video that I did. And again, you can check out the video description for that one. Some of the footage that I took never actually made it to the final cut. And I actually decided to take on this great big jump one time that I normally take with my ST4, and I've taken that jump plenty of times, but on this particular day we had a little bit of wind. Wind was a little stronger, and I decided to take the jump with the tailwind, thinking that that won't stop the truck from flipping. But in fact, pretty much as soon as the truck took off from the jump, it just slipped forward and landed flat on its roof. So I went over to the truck, and it's sitting on the ground just like this. And I thought, oh, what sort of damage have I done? So I flipped the truck over, had a look at it, quick look, made sure everything was still okay, nothing had broken, pressed go on the remote, and away she went, ready for battle. And the only thing was, it didn't make it very far. It stopped shortly after. So I went over to it thinking, okay, obviously something's happened. And what had happened is the battery had slipped out of the tray, got caught under the truck, and unplugged itself. That's really all that happened. The reason for that is because the battery strap actually broke. That you can see there, it's missing one of the little arms. Now the reason why I think this happened, this is a bit of a freak accident, is because I was using a 3-cell LiPo pack, which is a 3000 milliamp, it's a Turnigy pack, and it's only 20 millimeters thick. The battery strap has actually got a little bit of a kink in it, and it allows you to have two thicknesses on your battery tray. One's a 23 mil, and then if you flip it over, you've got a 25 mil. Because the battery was only 20 mil, no matter which way I had this, it had a little bit of play. And I think because the truck had sort of flipped, when it hit the ground, the battery, because of the slack, I think it slapped the strap and caused it to break. That's just my theory on it. I'm pretty sure if I had a much tighter fitting battery, I may not have had this issue. So a little bit of a freak accident, and I'm not going to really count that as a durability flaw. So, that's the only thing that broke. Nothing else on the truck has given way. No screws have backed out. Nothing has broken. Nothing's worn out unexpectedly. The truck is, durability wise, the truck is perfect. The way it is, fantastic. So I'm very, very pleased with what the truck has to offer as far as durability. Electronics. The electronics are all waterproof. After I ran the truck for the very first time, I noticed that the ground was a little bit wet, a bit moist, and when I finished running it, the thing was just covered in dirt and gravel and mud and all sorts of disgusting bits and pieces in there. So I brought it home, and I'm looking at it thinking, how am I going to clean this? Because normally, if it's a bit of dust, whatever, I just brush it off, I clean it up. but when you've got mud stuck to every component in here, I've sort of looking at it going, how am I going to do this? And then I remembered that this is a waterproof, so what better way to test how good the waterproofing is than to put it under the tap and wash the truck out. So that's exactly what I did. I put it under the tap, rinsed it out, washed it, gave it a bit of a wipe down, scrubbed the difficult parts that needed to be scrubbed and so forth, and hey presto, she was good to go. Plugged the battery in to make sure everything was working, and still fine. The battery works, the car works perfectly fine. The only thing I would suggest is if you are going to do any sort of aquatic activities with this truck, whether you're going to be running on puddles or water, or you're going to wash it out, make sure you dry it as soon as you're done, because although the electronics are waterproof, your little screws and all your little nuts and bolts and everything, they're not. So if you let water sit on top of them, chances are they're going to rust on you. So just keep that in mind if you are going to play with water, play with the truck in water, I should say. What else can I tell you? The high-speed pinion gear that I put in here, I was a little bit worried about how difficult it was going to be to actually work on this truck. Because I've never had one of these before, I wasn't sure what sort of things I needed to do, and the manuals didn't really give me a lot of information, so I had to play it by ear. So what I did is I removed 3 screws here on this little black cover, and that basically comes straight out and gives you access to your spur and your pinion. From there you can do a little bit of maintenance, you can grease it up, you can clean it up a bit. You can't really take anything out, but at least it allows you to check it, or even if allows you to mesh your gears as well. To remove the motor, you actually need to take out this little silver screw that's on your motor mount just here, and then there's another little plastic bit that's sort of pinching down these cables and keeping them out of the way for you. There's just a little screw that you take out, and that just gives you a little bit more freedom. I noticed that I couldn't really take the motor out with that little plastic bit sort of pinching the cables, so I had to take that out, and it gave me freedom to remove the motor and change the pinion gear. Very, very easy job. Took me about 10-15 minutes to do on my first go, not knowing exactly where I needed to go and what I needed to do. So now that I know what needs to be done, I can probably get it done in about 5 or 10 minutes, depending on how quick I am. So very easy to work on, no problems at all, easy to clean, waterproof electronics. I can tell you that it also comes with front and rear sway bars, and the handling on this thing, I mean, forget that the shocks are good, the tyres are great, but just how the truck drives is just brilliant. Traxxas have done an absolutely fantastic job with this truck. There is no doubt in my mind that this is right up there amongst the best of the best RCs, and definitely the best one that I've got in my collection thus far. I think another great thing that they've done here is also this honeycomb chassis that you see. So it's a tub chassis, and they've put this sort of honeycomb type of strengthening thing going on in there, and it's a very good thing that the chassis has no flex on it. You can't twist this at all. Very, very strong for a plastic tub chassis. The only sort of annoyance that I found is that dirt and pebbles and so forth all get stuck in these little holes, and every now and again they'll actually jam themselves in there. So you'll need to go in with a little tool or something just to flick them out and get them loose. But you can buy covers for these. I'm very much thinking about getting a cover myself, because I'm sick and tired of having to go in there and flick out little rocks and stuff like that seems to always get stuck. So that's the only annoyance. You might want to invest in something like that if you're going to be mucking around on gravel or anywhere that sort of kicks up a lot of dirt. So just keep that in mind. Other than that, guys, I can tell you I'm absolutely in love with this truck. This truck is brilliant. There is no doubt in my mind that if anyone is thinking about buying one of these, I can tell you, just go out and buy one. You'll be very, very happy with this. There is one catch though, and I'm going to try and explain this the best way that I can. Because here's the thing. This guy, as I said, is worth $640 from Tower Hobbies. Now, you can get the Platinum Edition, which comes basically just the truck and the non-painted body. So you don't get batteries or chargers or remotes. You're going to need to install or get all of those things yourself. But here's the thing, the Platinum Edition is $420 at Tower Hobbies. That's a $220 difference. if I had my time again, I wouldn't be looking at the Ultimate. As nice as the bodies are and all this sort of thing, I wouldn't go for the Ultimate. I would personally go for the Platinum, because the Platinum is so much cheaper. And you know, the Traxxas Sling thing is a great little gizmo, but if you invest in a good quality remote, you'll get the same features that this comes with. The only thing you don't get is your speed readings and motor temperature and all that. But that's why, you know, you've got speed guns, you've got temp guns, and you've got voltage meters. That's why they exist. The beauty about having these three separate items is that you don't just use them on the one car. You can use them on any other RC that you have, regardless of whether it's land, water, or air related. So I think personally I would go for the Platinum. That would be my pick. I'm very happy with the Ultimate, no doubt about that. I mean, I've spent the money. I'm not going to be getting rid of this truck. There is no way I'm selling this truck. I'm absolutely in love with it. And you know, I've got the remote, so I'm going to be using that for what it is. But I wouldn't, if I had my time again, I wouldn't go for this. I'll go for the Platinum. That's definite, 100%. To give it a final score, I'm going to give the Ultimate and the Platinum their own scores. Now, I know that I don't have the Platinum, but it's the same thing. Because of the price point of the Ultimate, because of the remote, which could be a lot better, to be honest with you, they really give you a crappy charger, and there's no instructions, proper instructions on how to work on the truck, nor are there any on how to install the center diff. I'm going to deduct some points on this, and you know, as much as I love this truck, I can only really give it an 8 out of 10 as far as, you know, value goes and what you actually get. For the Platinum though, I think it's much more bang for your buck, and you know, I guess it's relative to the individual, because you know, if you're just starting out, the Ultimate's obviously a better package because you're set. But if you've already got some cars or some RCs, the Platinum would be a better option, and for that I would give the Platinum a 9.5. I really love this truck, and I certainly recommend it to anybody that is after a quality RC that has a lot of speed, is extremely durable, and very, you know, relatively easy to work on. It's not the most difficult car to work on, to do some minor maintenance and things like that. There are a lot of adjustments for your suspension layout. They give you spare sway bars if you want to play around with those. There's a ton of optional parts available for the Slash as far as bodies goes, and tires, and you know, all your suspension layouts and all this other stuff. I mean, Traxxas have a really good part support system. So for me, this is definitely a keeper and highly recommended if your pockets are deep enough. I mean, there are obviously other cars out there that are a little bit cheaper, but if you want the Ultimate package, well, you know, either this or the Platinum would definitely suit. That's pretty much my review, guys. Hope you enjoyed it. Hopefully it wasn't too long or boring for you. If you liked it, please hit the like button. If you didn't, well, hey, hit the thumbs down button. And if you haven't already, show your support and crush that subscribe button. Thank you very much for watching, guys, and I'll speak to you next time.